You lot all thought I was Billy No Mates, but I've got two guests in 2 weeks. So there we go. We had Frankie last week. Today we got Tross, who I was going to ask him to introduce himself. I've just sort of done it. Tross is from Hammers United. I'll tell you what, introduce yourself a bit more than that, will you, mate? And a big welcome. Welcome to the shed.
Thanks very much, Gonzo. Cheers, appreciate it. So I'm Tross from Hammers United. I'm the joint secretary. I work very closely with Bubbles and Lee and Andy Byrne, Marlowe, and a handful of other guys that we've pulled in to form the committee to build out the group. Solid West Ham for as long as I've been able to talk and walk. I can trace my roots back a bit. The old man was West Ham. It's in the blood, unfortunately or fortunately, depending which way we look at it, And real pleasure to be on, Gonzo. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
My pleasure, mate. You're very, very welcome. Right, okay, I'll tell you what we're going to do. GSB out. You've seen the T-shirts. Yeah, you know what. Well, lots of people know what's going on. Some people don't know what's going on, particularly people further afield are probably thinking, what on earth is going on? I'm going to try and get some of those details off you. But I'll tell you now, mate, I'm going to preempt some of the comments because when sometimes I do a video that might not be exactly pro board, and I've done one or two, we like to give everyone an open platform. On Hammers Chat. It's what we're all about. We started out as a forum and every opinion is very welcome. But often if I do something that is critical of the board, and recently there's been quite a lot, I will often get the comments, why don't you just support the team? Stop talking about it. Just get behind and support the team. So what I wanted to say was, because obviously you've been up to the Liverpool game very recently, and clearly you were there supporting the team, because I thought everyone was really loud. I thought that was about as loud as we had. So clearly there was a protest there. Clearly a protest went ahead, but you did the protest. You all got behind the team. What did you think of the game, first of all? What do you think of the...
Absolutely. Well, what a cracker. What a cracker. I think without a shadow of a doubt, our best away performance of the season. I thought the team were all up for it. They all came out. They seemed really motivated. Obviously for Liverpool, bit of an emotional one where they lost one of their own players. Fair play to them. And for us, our Bobby's birthday, right? Anniversary. So, we're always kind of conscious on that. I think that always galvanises us as we go up. I think the players had some of that. And I think they felt they had something to prove, maybe off the back of that City performance. It was a bit flat. Gons, I think a few of them probably felt they'd got a bit of a public boasting, probably a bit humiliated after that one, and maybe had a point to prove, which was quite nice to see.
What caught my attention, and one of the reasons I wanted to get you on, I can't remember who the commentator was, but they gave the protest, and you had the black balloons going up. There were lots of banners, and it got some exposure, but not as much as clearly you would have liked it to get. They featured it a bit at the start. Obviously, you wouldn't have known at the time, so you're at the game rather than sat in your shed like me. They at some point during the game, the commentator, whoever it was, alluded to the fact that there was this protest going on. He said something along the lines of, you see what can happen if the West Ham fans pull together. Hopefully for the rest of the season, they'll just get behind it and support the team. And I don't know if it was quite damning with faint praise, a bit disingenuous. There was something not quite right with the comment. And I really thought it was important, because I thought you struck the balance really well. I thought you made your protests, and then I thought everybody was straight on it. Because I thought, listening to it from in here, for the majority of the game, the West Ham fans were louder than the Liverpool fans. And it was on a restricted number of West Ham fans there. The away ticket allocation was down. I know, would you just explain to my lovely subscribers who are watching this afternoon or this morning or whenever they're choosing to watch it, what happened with the tickets, mate?
Yeah, sure. So there's a couple of bits there, mate, that I'll touch on. And first off, and I think from memory, I'm not 100% sure, but I think the comment you're referring to may well have been Martin Tyler. I think that could have been it when it came through. But the comment made about this positioning, if you like, that a few people have made. We've heard it a few times on TalkSport. We've actually had a couple of ex-players come out with it, saying, look, the support's got to get behind the team. And if we just look at that for a minute, we're West Ham United, our away support is famed. It's famed. Everybody knows that wherever we go, we make a hell of a lot of noise. Our away support is amazing. At home, we've had a number of challenges in regard to atmospheres, but that could take us all night if we got that. But from a protest standpoint, this positioning about if you protest, that's going to cause a split in the team. That's going to cause a split in the club. Oh, what you're doing is you're causing issues, you're causing upset, you're causing disharmony, you're creating an imbalance. And nothing could be further from the truth. And, there's an awful lot of talk about it, but bless her, my old mum, she was always one to say, don't worry about what they say, son, look at what they do. And it's true, it's words and actions. Our protest, we've got issues, major issues, with the people who are the custodians of this club, the people that run our club, and we feel are running it into the ground. The team, that's our team. We supported that team forever. We love that team. They're idols to us. We're always going to support that team, guys. Never not going to. So for us to make sure the protest was right, that we got the balloons up, we got the banners out, and we made sure that those boys wearing the claret and blue up at Anfield knew, down to their boots, mate, that we were 100% behind them. That's what we made sure that happened. And if anything, the question there, of course, that is raised is, well, our ticket allocation, as you quite rightly alluded to, was only 1,800. And we normally take our full allocation everywhere we go. And I actually raised that point directly with David Sullivan electronically. And we had a bit of back and forth. And when I asked as to why that allocation was being cut, I was advised that if we wanted to take more tickets, maybe we should look to put a bond up, which would have been somewhere in the region, I think, of about 36,000 quid to cover the remaining 1,200 or the remaining 1,400 tickets that we could have took. So when you look at that, I think,
just say that how much again?
Yes, it's upwards of 30 grand. I think it was another 1,200 tickets we could have taken, so it'd have been somewhere in the region of 30 to 36 grand.
So just to be clear, the chairman of the football club wanted the fans to put up £30,000 of their own money up front, so as we could get our usual ticket allocation to go and support the team in Liverpool.
So let's be absolutely clear. What was positioned to me was, if you want more tickets, maybe you need to put a bond together, And the implication of that, obviously, is if you're going to put a bond together, it's going to be for the remaining 1,200 tickets, and the cost of that bond would have to be in the region of £30,000 to £35,000. Now, a question that nobody in the media has asked, even though they're very, very quick to point out that we're causing this great division and, distracting the team with our protest, which clearly we believe we galvanised. And if you looked at those boys when they came over to us at the end, they couldn't stop applauding. A couple of them were almost in tears. Poor Antonio, bless him. The beast was exhausted, wasn't he? He was absolutely exhausted, But we gave them a cheer and we gave them the love they needed. But if we could make them feel like that with just 1,800 of us and out sing Anfield, we kept Anfield quiet for 70 minutes. Just imagine what we could have done if he'd freed up the rest of them 1,200 tickets.
Well, I just want to stay on that topic for a while, because you always got to work on the assumption that not everyone's always going to know what you're talking about. That is not normal, is it? So normally we get the tickets. It's not normal for a football club to ask the fans to front the money up. Normally you just buy the ticket through the ticket office. You just obviously we've got a away season ticket allocation. You've got to have a set number of points. That much we know. But it is completely. I mean, do any other clubs do that? This is a strange thing to do, right?
Well, what's particularly disturbing, and I suppose there's 2 points really. I think the first one is that in the much maligned OSB, and again another favourite topic of ours, as I'm sure you know. I believe that, and if memory serves me correctly, I believe it was our dear lady Karen Rita Brady, who decided to say that we would always look to take the full allocation.
Yes, she did.
She did, and that's baked into the minutes. So I always kind of, I'm a bit of a cause and effect kind of guy. Gonzo, I'm a bit of a cause and effect kind of guy. So I'm wondering why on this occasion they decided not to take the full allocation and only take 1,800 as an allocation against, I think they're the best team in the world, right?
Oh, for sure, without a doubt,
So it does beg the question, and it's been suggested to me by a few of our members that maybe that's because they heard about your protest and they wanted to limit the numbers and exposure of your protest and look to try and protect themselves, protect the brand, etc. I'm not sure. Those are questions that have asked me because I've not got the answers for them. But what's very, very strange and what's concerning is, given we're on Deloitte's top 20 list, right? We're a big global player.
Oh yeah, we are.
Global powerhouse. We've got money aplenty, even though we may be paying interest on some of what we borrow and that kind of jazz. We don't seem to be comfortable, and I'd say comfortable is the word. We don't seem to be comfortable with taking a £36,000 exposure. You know,
which they're getting back anyway. By the way,
if we just
it's like Carlos Sanchez's wages, is it?
If we break it down, I suppose the reality is, if you take those tickets, it's a £36,000 risk. You know, because if for some crazy reason West Ham didn't decide that they wanted to fill up the away allocation, like we've done for pretty much every other away game this season, you know, that'd be £36,000 wasted. And, you know, we certainly wouldn't want the club to waste any money, you know, or do they need our help to waste money, or are they pretty good at that already? Probably pretty good, but that's, again, another topic for another day, mate. You know, but that's pretty much the position. So I think for fans, you know, I'd like to think, and I'm more than likely this week, now that I'm back down from Liverpool and I've done a bit of travel myself commercially, I'd like to think that we could make an ask of Mr. Sullivan and perhaps even dear Lady Brady to see if they could confirm that that won't be happening again this season, or if we need to actually go round and perhaps at our protest this weekend start talking to the lads about maybe having to raise some money to put some kind of bond together if this is going to become a habitual request from the club.
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, from my point of view, to me, it sounds like you've been naughty boys and it's a punishment.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's my take on it anyway. You touched on the OSB. I'd like to get you back on another occasion to discuss that, because we're already, you know, a few minutes in, and I want to talk about the protest which is going to happen on the 29th for the Southampton game. Before we do, can you just explain to me what is the FSA and why is the FSA important, please, mate?
Certainly, absolutely. So the FSA was previously the Football Supporters Federation. It is now called the FSA, the Football Supporters Association. And what it is, it's almost a body that regulates all of the independent and football supporters associations, groups, etc. So any group of fans from any club in the country can look to join the FSA and become an associate member of the FSA. You could do that. To be honest, Chris, we could do that. We could write off. We could go through a few pretty light kind of checks, and we could become an associate. But when you're a big group or a big supporters group, a big independent group, what you're looking to achieve is affiliate status. And when you've got affiliate status as a supporters group with the FSA, what that means is that your processes and how you're set up fall inside some extremely tight guidelines that they lay down. And it means that you're a democratic organisation in that all of your members are voted on. You've got to have your own constitution. You have to work very closely with them to look to achieve that. And that's something that West Ham are very proud to be one of only a few ISAs, if you like, that are attached to our football club, and by far the biggest.
Okay, so obviously you are Hammers United. As I understand, Wissa are also
absolutely they
accredited with the FSA. So. What does the OSB stand for, and are they accredited to the FSA?
No, so they stand for the Official Supporters Board. And I suppose how I explain this, quite often many people would have probably seen me in conversations up in the bridges or in the pubs around the ground at home games, as me and our motley crew go around spreading the word. The OSB, or the Official Supporters Board, is a construct that was put together after, if you go back a couple of years, there was some fractions in the support, and the club seized on the opportunity to build out an Official Supporters Board, which was created by the club for the club, so it can comply with the Premier League's, I suppose, definitions in and around supporter engagement. So the OSB are not an affiliate. So they're not an associate or an affiliate, I believe, of the FSA. In fact, when they looked to create their original OSB construct, they did go out and publicly say that they were accredited by the FSA, and they actually received a very stern letter where they'd been naughty boys, being told by the FSA that in fact that wasn't true, and they'd have to make a retraction, which I think they did publicly. And obviously our challenge and our view in and around it, which is a call for another day, is that, you know, Football Supporters Association, FSA, independent supporters groups, we meet, we talk together. This is a place where fans come together, and we do stuff like directly with the Premier League. We work with the guys at Stockley Park and all other stuff behind the scenes that we don't necessarily share because of some of the crises we're managing. It's no place at all for a football club, and certainly no place at all for for an official supporters board that's bankrolled, financed, set up, managed, interjected, and accountable back to the club. So, you know, that they're probably the key differentials, mate. You know, in and around independence. We're independent. We're by the fans, for the fans. The OSB is by the club, for the club.
Thank you very much indeed. While you're there, just so explain to us about Hammers United. What you say by the fans, for the fans. What are you all about? What are you looking to achieve, mate?
Yeah, so I suppose it's really interesting, you know, because if you look where we started off from, Gonzo, you know, it was very much we wanted to create dialogue with the club because we believed that the issues and the tragedy of all of this, right, the absolute tragedy, is the issues and challenges that we've faced since what we deem and most of our support seems to deem as a failed transition from our beloved Bowling over to the Olympic Stadium. There are thousands, and those thousands, generations of West Ham support who now feel disconnected to our club. You know, they feel that their long-standing relationship with the club has gone, and they're desperate to get that back. And there's no route for them to look to achieve that with the club in its current construct. So, you know, Hammers United was born with the view to look to create open dialogue with the club to present supporters' views from the supporters directly to the club. And if I give you an example, one of the biggest slights to the West Ham supporter over the last few years was the increase of season ticket prices, you'll recall.
Yeah.
Right. And even though an OSB was in place, an official supporters board, that OSB wasn't consulted by the club. They didn't even speak to them. So very simply, how can you have a supporters board and then you'll go and increase season ticket prices without consulting it? And it's because you don't allow them to hold you accountable. You know, we're fans, we're supporters. We believe that we should hold the custodians of our club accountable. It's that simple. And we're not talking about every penny, every pinch, you know. An ideal world, what would Hammers United love to see? Well, nirvana for us would be, you know, for our owners to give us a true legacy and ensure that this kind of issue, these kind of challenges we're facing today never happens again, you know. And taking into account the perceived wealth of what we thought our owners had, you know, obviously slightly under question, seeing as we're struggling to find 30 odd grand to cover away tickets at the biggest club in the world. But the perceived wealth that they have, very, very successful businessmen, done incredibly well and should be respected for that. You know, it's not easy to carve your way out from the backgrounds they had to get to where they've got to today. Massive credit for that. But if you're in that position, wouldn't it be a great legacy to say to that loyal, long-standing fan base, wouldn't it be wonderful to emulate what Arnold Hills did when he gave this club to the communities of East London, as a great philanthropist that he was, when he gave West Ham to the people, for our custodians, for our owners, to give a slice of that back to the fans, to have a West Ham United supporters trust, a Hammers United supporters trust, whereby a certain amount of the club was given to the fans, for the fans, so that all those big decisions, we could all sit around the big table together and share our experience, which, frankly, in and around football and supporting our team, goes back a lot longer and a lot deeper than theirs. As a collective, we are the most amazing resource that could be tapped in to drive positive change at our club. But there's no seat at the table for us. There's no seat at the table for us, and I think I really do. I think it's tragic, Gonzo. It's absolutely tragic. The way that they've carried on, the things that they've done. The list is as long as my arm. It's extremely well documented. You know, we've had a series of promises made that haven't been delivered. You know, I'm not going to go over the same old rhetoric again and again. They're out there. If people want to go and visit our site, they can see the detail. But the promises that were made have not been delivered. As a result, the support's become frustrated. Things that particularly annoy us, and what really, really grates is if we just look at the metrics for a minute, our CEO delivered failure, in my opinion, if we use the measuring stick of the promises that were made for where we'd be, world-class stadium, world-class team, world-class transport links. If we use those as the measurements, it's a failure on the part of our CEO, Lady Brady, as she's not delivered against the promises that were made. She's responsible for running that management team. And yet for that failure, she's awarded herself a huge pay rise. A huge pay rise. A pay rise that most FTSE execs wouldn't have as a basic, let alone with a bonus on top of it. You know, if you look at FTSE 250 companies, You look at that failed transition. You look at the uproar amongst the fan base, commonly interpreted as a customer base at West Ham, but we're actually fans, not customers. You know, if you look at that and you look at the detailing around it, how can it be right? How can you award yourself a pay rise that big when clearly we've got issues in and around money because we're not willing to stand on 30, 35 grand when we want to try and take some additional aid support up to Liverpool?
I think on if I may, on that, I think what you'll find is she has failed in her pledges to the fans. She's failed with a mantra that they've regularly trotted out. They don't trot it out anymore. I think they've possibly learned that they shouldn't have said the things they said, but it's too late. The genie's out of the bottle now in that sense.
Absolutely.
But she's not failed probably on whatever the private pledges were to Gold. The private pledges might have been to Sullivan. I would imagine if that's the case, I mean they may well think that she is doing a fantastic job, and I've struggled to see how their business plan can be on course because I'm pretty sure that it never involved being down the bottom of the division and with a possibility of getting relegated. It is something that I hear the conspiracy theory quite a lot, that maybe they want us to get relegated. Absolute poppycock. Nothing could be further.
I agree. Nobody in their right mind would run that close to the edge. You know, the impacts of relegation for a club like ours and the position that it's in, with no guarantee of bouncing back after that parachute payment. You know, we've seen plenty come, plenty fall, and plenty continue to fall and struggle. So I don't buy into the rhetoric that deliberately they'd like to take us down. Although there is a growing sentiment amongst many of our supporters that perhaps if we did get relegated, it'd present a number of the changes that they're looking to see across the club in and around the experience, because finally somebody would have to sit up and take notice of all the mistakes that have been made. Personally, I think we'll scrape it. I watched your piece the other week, and I'm about a point behind you, mate, which makes us safe.
I may amend it. I don't know. I might revisit that in another 2 or 3 games time. The old predictor league. No, I mean I don't think they have contrived to put us in this position. As I've maintained, I thought they felt that the stadium would be world class. And you know what? I was lucky enough. For some reason, in the ballot, I got loads of tickets for the Olympics, loads of them. And it was and possibly is a world class athletic stadium. I absolutely got no problem with that at all. I think they believed it'd be a world class football stadium, and she constantly trotted out a UEFA Category A stadium and this sort of thing. Well, it's not, and I think they believed that they would get world class football in it. I think that the point of the matter is, they're just not very good. And if they did get relegated, it would be their 5th relegation. And they've been trying at this for a long, long time, and they haven't achieved any success, despite having owned football clubs for a long, long time. There's no trophy, not even a sniff of a trophy. In fact, the trophy at Birmingham came just after they sold out to Carlton Young. So I just don't think they're very good. And I know Oliver Holt did the whole, he did a sarcastic thing about heavily pointing the finger about being involved in porn, and in all honesty, do you know what I mean? I would have to have never watched any naughtiness in my life, and I'll be a complete hypocrite, and I'll try and stay away from that. So do you know what? In other times, I may well have been one of their customers. You don't know. It's not the fact that they were in it that's a stick to beat them with. The fact that they got out at a time when the industry was about to boom, when £1 million industry was about to become £1 billion industry, that and anybody could see that coming with the the way it went onto videotape, and then the internet was coming, and then the fact that they sold out just as it was about to boom. I think, as I say, not to beat them over the head with dildo this or dildo that, if you not literally, of course. I just wonder about their business acumen and about their judgment, and if they can get that wrong, a whopper like that wrong, they can certainly get running a football club wrong. And I just can't get it past. I just don't think they're very good at the job.
I think there's a lot in that. I really do think there's a lot in that, Gonzo. I think when you start stripping down and you think, let's call them the critical capabilities that you need as a business to be successful, and you look at the infrastructure that you need to be successful. With us, the partnerships that we have, the statements that we make, everything that we seem to do, all really seems, it doesn't seem that we've actually moved on very much from old football, 80s, 90s football, pre-new millennia football. And the modus operandi seems very much in and around that. Sure, you know, we've changed the badge and we've got some shiny digital stuff that we've put at the top end. But when you actually drill down to the corporate objectives of what we've got, and where I actually think the problem lies is, what is the strategy at West Ham? What is the strategy? And I'd suggest that where you're saying the guys are like, you know, we will have this world-class stadium. Of course they wanted it, you know, of course they wanted it. But, you know, I really, 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 really want a Lamborghini Gallardo, Gonzo. I can look outside and it's not there, mate, because the wife and the kids are spending every spare penny I've got, you know.
So has the wife got a Lamborghini though?
She's got two, mate. She's
got
two.
There you go.
I think one for the weekdays and a black one for the weekends, right? But I think where I'm going with this is, wanting it just isn't enough. You've got to have a plan and you've got to be able to execute against the plan. And where I hold them accountable is for the positions of responsibility they've taken as custodians of our club. And we've had many a custodian over the years, you know, good, bad, indifferent, you know, and we've also got to be realists, you know. Nobody wants to go from the frying pan into the fire. You know, we know that there's a series of tests now that everybody has to tick boxes before ownership. You know, that running a football club isn't necessarily easy by any means. No one's suggesting it is. But surely we're at a point now when we actually look at the metrics, we look at the data. You know, let's take the emotion off the table. Have we made the Champions League places? When we've been able to get into European competition through fair play and through a very good season, you know, what have we done to make sure we were successful? What are the results that we've managed to deliver back internally as a club? You know, if I'm in my business and I sit down in front of my board and I give them those kind of numbers and I go, and that's success because I really wanted it, you know, somebody will be going, you know, taxi for Tross, track one, thank you, you know, and I'm gone. And yet for our owners and again for our CEO, that abject, it's a below average performance, you know. I'd go almost as far as to say it's an abject failure. You know, if we're relegated, it is an abject failure. No doubt.
Absolutely.
As it stands at the moment, it's just surfing above, and you know, almost by default, nobody wants to see us get relegated. Everybody wants to see us stay up. You know, everybody wants the boys to be able to do what they did up at Anfield, take that into the Southampton game, and look to drive us forward. You know, but there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that the current leadership team at West Ham, the way that we run that business operationally and the way we do what we do is not delivering the results that were promised to the fans. And I challenge whether or not it's ever going to have the critical capabilities and the skill set inside that team to be able to change the outcomes that I've no doubt they've probably done their level best to deliver. You know, I'm sure that in between going to the House of Lords and doing her private speaking events and doing her television programmes, that Karen is 100% committed to making sure that we are positive and successful. No doubt at all in my mind.
Yeah. No, I totally and utterly agree. I'm also mindful before it pops up in the comments on this video that I am a man with a 7-year-old Honda Jazz sitting in a shed calling a man with a Rolls Royce and a mansion, not very good at business. So I am aware of the irony in that, obviously. Just before, cause we've dragged on a little bit longer than I wanted to, but this stuff can't be. This kind of stuff can't be skirted around, really. This is really important stuff, and I could talk about it for hours. But don't worry, folks, I'm not going to. But before we go, and I do want to get you on again after the protest. Yep. I just want you to tell us about the protests. Sure. Just imagine I don't know about it at all, and I just want to. I must say, and I know you might well go on to say it. This is a peaceful protest.
100%.
Kept outside of the stadium to not impact the players. When we go in, everybody will support the team, and well, over to you, mate, really.
So yeah, sure, thanks very much, mate. So I'd say if you look at firstly the protest, it was almost it was becoming an urban myth that the West Ham support could not get itself together and protest. The frustration amongst the fan base was growing. Everybody was getting to the point where they're like, no, we want change, we've got no outlet. We all saw what happened at Burnley beforehand, you know, last season. We saw that the cauldron was starting to heat up again, and we decided that we needed to do something. And what we did was we put our first protest together, which you would have seen, which was just down by the Olympic pool. And we had good numbers to that, floating somewhere between 1,200 to 2,500, depending on the reports. I've been in the same room with the guys at LLDC. I've spoke to the police. I've spoke to the clickers. Nobody can give us a firm number, but I think the pictures speak volumes, And if you've got
100%,
you can see them. So off the back of that, we're like, we want to go again. Our membership at the time was about 5,500. Our membership now is just under 12,500 in the period since our last protest, which is unprecedented growth. We never believed when I was in the Plaistow Club originally with Paul Colburn and a few other guys, there was about 100, 150 people there. And if they'd said that we'd be 12,000 strong by this point, I'd have probably run away. Right?
Yeah, you wouldn't have to take up all your time, would you?
Exactly. But as it stands, this is where we are. So we delivered the first protest. It went off very well. We had pregnant women there. We had kids kicking footballs about, and it was a good day. Everybody voiced their frustration. But of course, we've got bigger. We've got more fans who want more of a protest, and we wanted to do something else, and we wanted to do it again inside the Olympic Park. Unfortunately, we met with the guys that run the park and with Newham Council, and they were very open. They weren't obstructive. But the way that they positioned what they'd like to do with us and where they'd like us to fit into, I don't think we would have fitted. And obviously making sure that things are peaceful and safe is a priority for us. We are responsible to our members. We need to be seen to be being responsible. And after much consideration, and we referred to our own legal team, we decided the best thing for us to do would be to look to take a nice, easy stroll along the Greenway. And for those who, are from the manor back in the day, the Greenway used to be called the Old Sewer, that runs right the way across the bottom of Newham, comes back out through from East Ham, Plaistow, right the way up, all the way up to Stratford, and then pushes on to Hackney. So what we've decided to do is we've said to everybody, come along, let's have a stroll along the Greenway. You can wear any T-shirt you want along the Greenway. Nobody is going to ban you from being a member of Hammers United. For a GSB out T-shirt, you can wear it.
What about if they have a GSB in T-shirt with a lovely picture of Karen Brady on?
Do you know what? And we've said this, and we've got people inside our membership who regularly raise the questions, mate. All are welcome. We look to represent all elements of the fan base, But it might be a little bit cold on that side of the ball. That's all I'd suggest. Mate. That's all I'd suggest. But we're expecting good numbers. We're looking to meet up initially at Plaistow. We'll look to go from the Plaistow point on the Greenway, which is just round by Upper Road. If you're coming into Plaistow Station and you turn right out of Plaistow Station, you walk down the hill and turn right. It's about a 3-minute walk. It'll be signposted.
So you come out. So you come out of Plaistow. I guess everyone's going to be walking there anyway. You come out of Plaistow Station. You turn right, and you walk.
And you walk down the hill and you follow the road round to the right, down Upper Road, and you'll see the road starts to rise up onto the hill. That's the Greenway, and the march will be there. But there'll be marshals outside Plaistow Station anyway. We're self-regulating. We've made sure that we've got a number of marshals in place. We've worked very closely with the police to make sure that it'll be a nice, safe event. It's going to be very lightly policed because we're self-regulating, and we're expecting good numbers. Should be a good day out.
So you've done this, you've liaised with the police, you've liaised with the Olympic Park. You've basically done this properly. You've liaised with absolutely everybody.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's very important for us to make sure this is done correctly and where we want to be. I don't want us as a group to be in a position where we look to trip up and we look to call everybody to come out and thousands of our fans come out on the day, and then we've got nowhere to go. So we spend a lot of time. We've walked the Greenway, we've recorded the walk, we've run it past our legal team, we've made sure that everybody's happy and comfortable with the rights of way. Couple of obstacles there, how we'd look to cross the main road when you get up to Stratford up to the High Street, how you cross that over at 3 Pudding Mill Lane. And we've got that marshalled off. We know where we're going to take it, right up to the edge of the Greenway as we touch to the edge of the ground, and we can have a really good grouping at the back end of it. It'll be a good day, mate. A really good day.
And we've got a map. You've got a map that you can, which I will hopefully, if I'm any good at editing, I'll pop that map up now.
Fantastic. And you'll see on that map that there are a number of entry points. So you've got the entry points at Plaistow. Then you've also got another entry point at West Ham. Again, we'll have marshals there. The marshals will be able to guide people how to go from West Ham Station. Again, it's about a 1.5 minute walk from West Ham Station to get up onto the Greenway. Join everybody else, all your other, the West Ham family that will be up on the Greenway on the day. And then again, when we get to the point up at Pudding Mill Lane, right up at the top, Stratford, We expect another big contingent to look to join us there, and then we'll walk the rest of the Greenway right the way up. You know.
Okay. And what time do you are you starting? What time's the stroll start?
I think we're looking to start from memory now, because I think we did change it. I think it's at 12:15, but I will sanity check that for you and come back. And then there are times set along the points, but we're also conscious that given the number of people that we've got, and these things are very, very fluid, you know, it depends how fast we can all walk. You know,
it's not going to be any quicker than you expect.
Well, exactly that. You know, but it should be great, and I think it'd be great for a lot of us who want to be out and remember what it was like to walk around Newham, go into the game, a bit of atmosphere with your mates, rather than the rather sanitised experiences we have when we look to go to the Olympic Park over the bridges and the like. So we're looking forward to a really, really good day out, a big representation of our membership, any other West Ham fans that want to come along and join, getting out and letting the board know loud and clear that we're not happy, that we want them out. We want them to actively go and find new ownership for our club. You've had your run. You've been here for a decade. You've done your level best. You don't seem to have any new ideas. It's the same old, same old. It's time for change. It's time to go. It's go Sullivan, Brady out. GSB out. Let's get up on the Greenway. Let's let our voices be heard. And let's have a bloody good time while we're doing it.
And just finally, where can I'll put in the link below, obviously. Website
www.hammersunited.com. Nice and easy.
And your social media, I'll put it all below. But I guess a Hammers United Google is throwing up most things.
Absolutely. And then we've got our Twitter feed, and if you're not already, you can join on the website, or you can join on our Facebook page, Hammers United on the Facebook page.
Tross, fantastic. Thank you very much. Just before I finish, I am going to say we are an open platform on Hammers Chat. If anybody wants to come here, and you're more than welcome to send me in a video as to why you don't think that people should be protesting and why you think that the owners are doing a good job. You know I'll put it up because you saw what happened after the Man City game, where I put two very, very different videos up, and poor old Jazz got loads of stick because poor old Jazz. Anyway, give him a break, you nasty lot, wouldn't you? Anyway, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll have a chat. Well, I will see you on Saturday.
Excellent stuff.
You certainly will see me then, and we'll have a chat. We'll have a chat in a week after, or a week or two after, and we'll find out how it's gone, mate.
I think so, mate. Thank you ever so much for giving us the platform, Gonzo. We've always been big fans of you and yours and what you're doing there, and the great stuff down by the boats. Let's just get the whole family out on Saturday. Let's have a really, really good day and show that we are Hammers United. Thanks very much, pal.